made it worthwhile.
That's Hey, it's Tom Douglas right here in the Hot Stove Kitchen, and we're talking with Sean right now, who's checking out our sound and trying to make sure that it sounds delicious on the radio. For steak Oscar for your breakfast this morning? No, I did not get it.
I put your quick meal pantry request in for today, but we can pivot that to steak Oscar. 'Cause that would be more fun.
That it's me, and I'm thinking she's gonna go. I told Pamela that I need a recipe for how to do steak Oscar correctly. I screw it up every time, but
But you keep making it.
For decades I've screwed it up. But I remember when I was in college, decades.
You had steak Oscar in college?
I had a rich boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
He took me to Clinker Daggers.
Biggerstaff and Pets. A public house. I know it.
Yeah, it was on Russ and Wayne.
Mm-hmm. There were many around the state, yeah.
Well, he would take me there, and I would always order that, and it was divine. It was
Divine.
perfect. So ever since I Then he dropped me. Because you ordered too
You were too expensive.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Should have just had the salad.
I know, darn.
I'll have the
Well,
half-size Caesar,
He doesn't sound
please.
worth keeping if he wouldn't buy you a steak Oscar.
No,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I said that I have been trying all these years to try to replicate. And you can't find it in a restaurant.
No, it's a little old fashioned. Don't mean that. Yeah. But there's really the only thing you have to perfect is the hollandaise. That's all it is.
That's it.
Well, my holidays turns to soup,
There's
and I love the asparagus. And I expected everything to stay on.
You put the crab on too, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
You can do it with salmon.
as
too,
soon as
can't
you
Oh, that.
no, you can't do steak Oscar with salmon.
No.
Mind your culinary manners, Missy. Yes, you could do salmon Oscar. It's just hollandaise.
It's the hollandaise. We should have had a hollandaise workshop this
Well, I use that Norse.
Well, there's another mistake.
morning. This is going south.
I don't know if you're following the recipe then.
I think I'm in the right place.
You keep trying.
I know. Let me see, what else do I
It's,
say?
And you keep trying.
it's hilarious.
I tried different brands.
Oh.
Of hollandaise mix.
Yeah. Norse.
Have you ever tried to make it from scratch?
No, I think it's intimidating. I've heard you talk about it,
Uh-huh.
and it just sounds so scary.
I'm gonna have a special story for you then later.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Is it?
Yes.
Whose phone was going off? Who's that little? All right. Will you just turn that off for us? You're welcome to talk. You know, like quietly amongst yourself during the show.
This
Sure.
person just wants to garden.
Hello, Diane.
I'll take your pen. I'll give you
You look like maybe you just got out of the shower.
No, it's raining.
Oh, it's raining. Sean, you ready?
He's been waiting for us.
All right. You're three, but you're mighty. Don't forget. Pam, are you going to be our audience motivator today?
Yes.
It's not my specialty.
Oh boy.
Hello and welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio 97.3 FM.
Well done.
Here we are once again downtown Seattle in the beautiful Hotel Andra, enjoying life at 4th and Virginia and getting ready for a big show. Our good friend Terry Rotero is still, and I say still, this is his third week away in France on sort of a vacation. He's going to see his mom and his on the front side, his mom on the back side, and then in between, he's floating down the Rhone River with a bunch of folks on a barge, going market shopping. And next year, you know, he's going to be doing more of these. So if you ever want to get involved with that, we can get you the information if you just email us at
Yes.
hotstovesociety.com, right?
I'm going to give him Terry's info.
Okay, yeah. You don't want the emails. We're very happy to be joined today by my business partner and friend Eric Tanaka. Welcome, ET.
Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
This is you've been on the show before, but you never really hosted the show before. So
No.
you have to follow in the very large shoes of Loretta Douglas 2 weeks ago, and then Jackie last week took on Terry's job since
Seems
he
like
is
we have a big budget for this
Yeah.
step in.
since he is
Yes, sir.
AWOL. You know, we do our show right here at the Hot Stove Society Cooking School, where we have classes for the public, which we post on our website, and then also if you're a business or something you want to do, a team builder or a wedding reception. What am I doing? I'm doing like a WPO event here in a couple of weeks.
The young presidents.
Yeah, they're not so young, turns out. They've been young presidents for like 25 years.
I thought they kicked you out when you turned 40.
That's the OPO, the old presidents. I was never invited because I never made enough money, but I'm not bitter. Let's see. If you want to come here and have a delicious hot Dahlia Bakery, I can say it, Dahlia Bakery breakfast sandwich with a hot cup of coffee right here during our show. You can go to Hot Stove and get a ticket. We've got a big show today. We have Danica Noble here. We're going to get caught up on Ukraine. You know, about 110 days ago, we did a couple of fundraisers here at the Hot Stove to help with the growing what's the word I want? Immigration crisis or refugee crisis that was happening in Ukraine. Think where we are today. It is so much worse. At that
Yeah.
time, I think there were only 1 million or 1.5 million people refugees. Now there's 5 or 6 million.
I think it's even more than that.
Yeah,
I think
refugees.
we'll find out.
So we're going to find out later from Danica. She worked there for a while and is now going to give us a little bit of an update. Sophie Minchilli is going to then take us off the horrors of Ukraine and into the lovely life of La Dolce Vita in Italy, which is really the life of doing nothing.
The sweetness,
The sweetness.
relaxation, and not feeling guilty about it.
Those are the silky tones of Pamela Hinckley, our producer, who does these show sheets that I'm reading right now. ET's food journey and the culinary passions. And ET, you are the most consistent.
What's going to happen here?
I'm at the edge of my
consistent, passionate culinary person in our company. I think you love reading about what's going on in New York, LA. You're from LA. It's just fun to read your passions daily that you send your email missives out.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's with the internet, it's so much easier now.
I know, you don't even have to go. You don't even have to go. I mean, I used to have to go when I went to a city. I'd go to 7 restaurants in a night just to try and get caught up on all the new stuff. Now you just read their menus online. So we're going to find out about ET's food journey. Big bacon decisions for our upcoming tasting. What tasting?
On Father's Day, we're bringing back a version of Baconopolis where we're going to choose 6 bacons and have them naked and then in a dish. But as Annie and I have been doing the research, there's a lot of expensive options out there, and I want your advice on which dish it's worth spending the money on, the higher end ones for, or do we just put Hempler's and Bavarian and everything?
Well, Bavarian's out of business from the bacon side of things. They're still making sausages, but their bacon business is gone. I can't.
When Alberto took them over,
Yeah,
no more
yeah,
bacon.
no more
No more
bacon.
bacon.
I do have 2 pounds of that good smoky, salty bacon from the place where I got the ham in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee.
Oh,
Benton
can we buy them
Country.
from you?
Yeah, Benton Country ham. I had one the other day. They are salty and they are smoky.
The ham was super salty. That's why I loved it.
Yeah, it's something else. Burning questions from you, our fabulous listeners, and our own Princess Dianne, who's a sales lead here, is also of Filipino descent and is going to talk about the new Kamayan feast. Not the new, but the foods that she's going to experience during the Kamayan feast. Looking forward to that. Taste of the week. ET, I'm going to start on this because, oddly enough, it's fresh on my mind. I just took a 2-day golf trip into Eastern Oregon, and we were on a 150,000 acre ranch that has a couple of golf courses, barely, and a lodge and everything. But the ranch has 7,000 head of goat, 5,000 head of cattle, but they seem to be harvesting goat right now. I had goat at every meal for 2 straight days. So breakfast, lunch, dinner for 2 straight days. I had goat meatballs, goat kebabs, goat chops, like lamb chops, so goat chops. I had goat burritos, wraps. I had goat everything because that's what they only serve one thing there, and that was goat.
Well, I'm glad we had that at our manager.
I know
plant.
we just had it at the manager chef plant. 2 weeks ago out at the farm.
Yeah.
So we had a goat on the rotisserie. So I'm goated up, and I don't understand why we don't eat more goat.
I agree. I love it.
Yeah, it's so similar to lamb. It just doesn't make sense. Do you have a taste of the week?
I do. King Tut Restaurant on Aurora, about 135th. They do this braised lamb shank. It is amazing. And it's just a mother and her daughter in this little strip mall on Aurora. But I think they used to be up in Linwood and then got fancy and moved to Aurora. So
So when you say 135th in Aurora, I'm thinking Car Toys at 130th in Aurora.
I think that's further up. That's like 142nd, 143rd. So it's right by that old Sam's Club.
Oh yeah, on that side of the street.
On that side of the street.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I think European Foods is there, and there's also a little like Chinese grilled meat stick place there.
European Foods is where we got a lot of the stuff for our Ukrainian benefits.
Yeah. So it's that little mini mall, and there's think Social Security's there as well.
So lamb shank. Anything else that was there that was new to you?
You know what? I only ate that and I devoured it. It was delicious.
What was so good about it?
It was perfectly cooked. It just
So fall off the bone.
and not too overcooked, because sometimes you overcook and it just
That's
gets
what I do.
mushy. It's
Yeah.
just perfectly intact but soft at the same time.
Tomatoey or brothy?
Tomatoey, brothy, but spicy too. Not spicy hot, but just a lot of different spices. It's Middle Eastern, so it was really
so it's
neat.
called once again,
King Tut.
which you would think would be an Egyptian restaurant.
Yeah, no, it was not Egyptian.
Can't wait.
Can't wait to check it out. You know, I have my favorite across the street, just up to 147th and Aurora, is the Royal Dumpling House.
Yeah,
I've been eating there quite a bit. The house chow mein, add broccoli. That's my dish there. Okay. Like anyone cares. Okay, Danica Noble's here. Happens to be married to ET and is going to talk about and give us an update on what's going on with Ukraine and the refugee crisis and all the foods that are being done by Chef Jose Andres up there at the World Central Kitchen. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Oh yeah. Donna made that dress.
Is she?
Fantastic.
What a shocker.
She's one of our customers, and she's a techie, but she also has a
Fashion
design
line.
business.
Yeah, she grew up in Detroit, and she used to go to the library and check out issues of Vogue. And she always dreamed about being a designer. And so she was like, I'm going to do it. And so she made her own label, and she's got some dresses. And
Yeah. Perfect for the Ukrainian
for
segment.
Ukrainian updates.
Is she on this camera here? It looks like it's faced only at the. There we go. I want all of our watchers on YouTube, hi YouTubers, to be able to see Danica's dress. You didn't know you were going to be on camera, did you?
We have fancy new lights today because
I see
John's
that.
been upgrading all of our AV accoutrements.
Nice. And is it Minchilli or Minchilli?
It's with an I.
I know. That's why I was asking. Doesn't say on here.
She'll tell us.
And we're back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show on
Yeah.
Cairo. We're so happy to be here. Happy to share 2 hours a week with you. It's always fun and exciting. My favorite 2 hours of the week. Right here in the studio, as I told you earlier, Chef Terry is out on the river, the Rhone River somewhere. So ET is our co-host today. My partner Eric Tanaka and his wife Danica is here. Danica Noble. You know, Danica, when we first jumped into our refugee benefit here at the Hot Stove, you were so instrumental in giving us a heads up on not only on what was going on over there, but also some of the cultural things that we chose to feature here. And you did such a good job with that. We lined up some European producers of Ukrainian food to come bring and show off their goods. And who was the young lady that made those unbelievable cookies?
The
Irina?
beautiful Irina.
Irina. Oh my
Can't
God.
stop
God.
thinking about her
Yeah.
and the cookies.
And the cookies. She was awesome. But where do we stand? I mean, I feel sad when I turn on CNN and it's not on the front page anymore. And I know it should be. It can't be everything, but where do we stand?
so last week was 100 days since the war in Ukraine began. And like you note, for some of us, and maybe in the media, there's some fatigue, but it's a real privilege to think about other things because the Ukrainians can't.
Yeah.
They are in war and their country is under attack. So where we are is Ukraine is about the size of Texas. It has 43 million people is its population. Right now, about 6 million are refugees outside the country. And inside the country, 6 million are displaced. The The UN reported this week that 2/3 of all the children are displaced.
Ugh.
So once 5 million more people out of that original population, that will be half the population displaced or out of the country. There are over 600,000 people without any electricity or power. They don't have water in lots of places. And so the situation is pretty tough. There's been enormous support from the world, and it's such a great opportunity to get here and talk about it a little more and bring our focus there. So thanks for this opportunity.
Absolutely. Well, you know, the World Central Kitchen is near and dear. Your husband and I both know Jose Andres and what he's doing with that. And I have a couple of friends that just came back from the Romanian-Ukraine border. They help kind of hook up with some guides and they set up a little small nursery pantry thing for kids right there at the border. You know, free shoes, free meals. What are we finding if we want to get involved again with the World Central Kitchen, or what's the most effective way have you found, if you've heard from your friends over there, to help out?
Well, I'll start with World Central Kitchen because it is such a tremendous effort and so admirable. When World Central Kitchen was there within the week on the border after the invasion, and they started by doing a few thousand meals a day, they're up to 1 million meals a day in and around Ukraine. That's not even all of World Central Kitchen's work that they're doing around the world. So it's pretty incredible. I listened to some firsthand interviews with folks who were both volunteering with World Central Kitchen and some of the refugees who were coming over the pedestrian border crossing. And they would say the people they would see would often be women with small children or elderly people, and they had been walking and not had a proper meal in most cases for 5 or 6 days. So the first people they see when they cross the border is World Central Kitchen, and they have been giving them these giant oversized sandwiches. That's something that's portable, and it's also maybe not that easy to eat a ton, right, if you haven't eaten in a long time. So they give them this, and they can take that back to wherever they're going to settle for the night, and then the next day they start getting hot meals. So it's a really incredible organization. And ways to work with World Central Kitchen are certainly to donate money, and they appreciate that. But it is largely a volunteer organization. And so they're taking volunteers, and you don't have to be a chef because a lot of it is assembling sandwiches, and we can all probably do that. So you apply on World Central Kitchen's website. You choose the days and the location. You're in charge of your own logistics, getting there and finding a place to stay. But they love help from everyone, and they've got just an incredible, diverse array of folks who are going over there to volunteer several times in a row. And as you might imagine, everyone who does it finds it incredibly satisfying and worthwhile. So that's one way to get involved specific to World Central Kitchen. If you're not going to plan to go on a trip to Europe, there are a few Ukrainian-based nonprofits. One is called Razon, which means together in Ukrainian. That's run by Ukrainians. It's in Ukraine. There's one called Voices for Children. That's another Ukrainian-based organization, and it is all about getting psychological and art therapy for children who are experiencing the trauma of war. So I think those are two good ones if you feel like giving some money. And then we actually have a lot of local opportunities too. So tomorrow night let's take this back to Aurora, 185th in Aurora, at the ice skating rink, a former world championship ice skater from Ukraine is doing an ice skating show, and it's $10, and all the funding is going to go to hospitals in Odessa. So that's one for Saturday. There's a virtual 5K or 10K put on by a Ukrainian Students Association. Eric and I, our oldest son and I, are going to do this virtual run.
Wait, I am not running.
Right. That's definitely true. And that one is going to give money to maternity hospitals throughout Ukraine. And then next Sunday at the Egyptian Theater in downtown Seattle, there's going to be a showing of the award-winning film Winter on Fire. And this is about the Ukrainians who stood up and brought around the Revolution of Dignity in 2014. And it gives really good insight to the Ukrainians. And that fundraiser is going to raise money for the Ukrainian Association of Washington, Seattle home organization that's quite old. They've been organizing lots of rallies, and they are filling their second Boeing 747 with supplies to send medical supplies to Ukraine. So
Nice.
really great organization.
Really great. That's so, and I know Brandy is jumping in with her War Child nonprofit foundation. Do you know much about that?
No, I don't know
Okay.
how she's funneling the funds.
So Brandy Carlisle has a couple of nonprofits, but the War Child is one to help kids ravaged by war. So it's when my friends came back from Romania, Jamie and Sue, they were just traumatized in their own way, in a first world way compared to what everyone else is going through. But at the same time, they felt so good. They're going back now in 1 month from now to relook at their orphanage that they kind of put together, and went to the IKEA to furniturize and all that. They did all that stuff, brought carloads of food to the train station every day, because these people are literally getting off the train. Some of these older Ukrainian women are in these crocheted slippers that they've been walking in for 10 days straight on the road for miles and miles, right? And so their feet are blistered and bare, and so fresh shoes at the border, and it's just and meals. And they were most impressed with World Central Kitchen. You walk right out, get off the train, and you have this protein-rich wrap that they make. They have a recipe for, and it's just handing out thousands and thousands every day. So.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Jose is amazing.
Yeah,
Truly
I'm
amazing.
really proud of the work that he's done and all that sort of thing. Anything else that people can do for Ukraine that in your world that you're hearing? Because you have friends on the ground over there, having worked there for what, 6 months or so?
Yeah, I do have friends, and they have told me, for instance, that I mentioned that backpacks for kids, that kids are really enjoying those. And then everybody is feeling the love from Jose Andres, who is there himself. Follow him on Twitter if you can. Like, he's just inside Ukraine. He's on the border. He's not in a corporate office anywhere.
Good for him.
That was a wonderful list, Danica. There's a lot of inspiration in your suggestions. Thank you.
I agree totally. And now, what a transition. We go from the devastation of Ukraine, and actually some of the positive sides of the Ukraine, to the sweetness of doing nothing, or as the book's Italian title is, Dolce Far Niente. Sophie, Sean Dettori, you have to wait 1 second.
Minchilli.
There it is. Sophie Minchilli is going to get on the phone with us from Italy directly to talk about her book, The Sweetness of Doing Nothing, when we come back here at the Cairo Radio Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Hard for me to spit it out sometimes.
What was the one after Voices for Children? Raison, like the French spelling, or R-A-Z-O-O-C. Raison. We will post those. Thank you so much. We got to keep paying attention.
Well, we should, what can we pop that in? Why don't we just segment while you're here, and then we'll pop it in next week's show. Okay.
The Italian, since
Is she
they're
on right
9 hours ahead.
What time are they doing? 9:30?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to be here for a few? All right. Let's just see what we can do. I'd like to hear it out here first. Reminds me of when I did the show from
Be completed as dialed.
3 o'clock.
Please check the number and dial again,
Really? We made
or
you
dial
get up at 3
611
o'clock
for
in the morning?
customer assistance.
What
I
time
did
were
it.
we-
That's when I was doing it live
Oh.
on Saturday afternoon.
That's why it was 3. Oh.
I brought my little. You saw it. I had it on the.
Is there any other secret to an international number besides the
Country code.
country code?
01.
That's the U.S.
Italy's 39. What's it?
It has dialed. Please check the number and dial again, or dial 611 for customer assistance.
So did we try this? Did we try connecting with her before?
I haven't called her yet. Want to try 611?
And then all these numbers?
39.
We could text her now and have her call the show too. That's possible.
Thank you. Are you doing that, Sean? Yep. I think it is a 0. Thank you, Jim.
Dial again or dial 611 for customer assistance. Message PO 202WA51.
Glad we have an international expert.
Hello?
Hi, Sophie. This is Hot Stove Radio.
Hi, can you hear me good?
Yeah. Ciao.
Great. Ciao.
Good morning. Good morning. Our hosts today are the fabulous Tom Douglas and Eric Tanaka, who are on the line, and we're so glad we had a guest in the audience who helped us call internationally. But you sound good.
Yes.
Tom, here's Sophie.
Hi, Sophie.
Hi.
Congratulations on your book. It's very sweet. How long's it been out?
Thank you. It was supposed to come out in 2020, and then it came out in the UK, and then it just came out in April in the US.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw in the front it was published in 2020, and then it seems like Carrie Bachman, who is a good friend of mine, seemed like it was a brand new book.
Yeah, it just came out in the US. It kept getting postponed because of COVID.
Yeah. COVID got in the way of a few things.
Just a few for us.
Yeah, it did.
All right. We about ready?
We're ready.
Ready.
Yep.
Can YouTubers hear this segment? Because they can hear it. Yeah, they can hear it fine. We are back in the Hot Stove Society kitchen on Cairo Radio.
Woo-hoo!
It's been an eventful first hour already, and now we're going to head all the way to Italy. I'm not sure what part of Italy we're in, but we're going to find out. Sophie Minchilli is here. She is going to talk about her book just released in the U.S., The Sweetness of Doing Nothing. Live Life the Italian Way with Dolce Far Niente. And Sophie, welcome to our show, and tell us a little bit about you, your inspiration, which I think is your mother, if I'm not mistaken, and the thought behind this book.
Thank you so much for having me. So yeah, my name is Sophie Minchilli. Everyone gets that wrong, but it's a difficult name. And I am half American and half Italian. So yeah, I work with my mom, who's American. And we lead food tours in Rome, but also all over Italy. So that's really fun. I love my job. And I am based in Rome, Italy. And I'm actually in the countryside now, in the beautiful region of Umbria, which is right next to Tuscany. So if you haven't been, you should go. It's amazing. And my book, yeah, it just came out in the US. It was supposed to come out in 2020, but COVID got in the way. And so I'm very excited for my first baby, my first book.
So nice. And I read that you spend, well, many Romans spend 3 months of their life up in Umbria and in the countryside.
Yes, especially if you come to Rome during the month of August, everything will be closed, restaurants, offices, shops, because people just take the whole month off to go to the countryside or to the beach. Italians love the beach.
Tell us a little bit about the book and what we can do as nose to the grindstone type people, and how we can learn how to live a little dolce far niente.
So dolce far niente literally translates to the sweetness of doing nothing. And in my book, I talk about the lifestyle that Italians live. And it's not like we're sitting around doing nothing. I think we just figured out a way to really balance work life and just living life and enjoying it. And in order to be more productive and work better, you definitely need some downtime. And I think in today's society, we're always pressured to rush and fill out our lists and work more and produce more. But we need to sort of go back, think of maybe how our grandparents were living and sort of learn to slow down a little. And just like I was saying, Italians take the whole month of August off to sort of recharge and rest. So they work better in September. So I think we really need to let go of that sense of guilt that we often associate to downtime and just live life, live it like we want to live it. And yeah, in my book, there's various examples of how you can incorporate certain aspects of the Italian life into your life. And it's divided in 3 main chapters. Food, which is the biggest one, of course. Food is like a religion in Italy. Then there's family and about taking baby steps and slowly incorporating different routines into your life.
My favorite way to start is what you say. How can I incorporate some of these concepts into my life? Start with an aperitivo, and I love that because it gets you in the mood to follow through on some of the other relaxation ideas.
Yes, aperitivo is probably one of my favorite things to do every day. After napping, I always nap. But aperitivo is what?
I used to nap all
Yes,
the time
napping
before I
is
had
like
5 kids.
napping is the most important thing. I love it. Even a short power nap, like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But aperitivo is usually when we get together with our friends or family after work and have a drink and some snacks before dinner. And it's a way sort of to talk about the day, relax. And also having a drink before dinner gets you hungry for dinner, so you'll be hungry for dinner. So that's always good.
How many kids do you have, Sophie?
0. Maybe
Yeah.
that's why I'm napping.
I was just going to say, there's a napping technique right there.
Nap with your kids.
What is what is your favorite aperitif? A Bianco vermouth or sparkling wine?
So I like, I really like wine, and natural wines have become a huge thing here. But for the classic Italian cocktails, I like Negroni, which is quite strong, but it's very bitter in taste. And they say the bitterness gets you hungry. It gets you going ready for dinner. And if you want something lighter, there's a Aperol Spritz, which is another popular drink, and that's actually on the cover of my book. So that's another favorite.
So another thing you tell people to do is learn an Italian card game, take a break. And I think the taking a break thing is something that Americans don't do very well. I think that we always want to power through taking a break. The other thing is, do some cooking. And you also, you talk about the Italian kitchen being constantly kind of the pantry being full, because it's something that you think about as an Italian of larding the pantry.
Yeah, a full pantry is always great. And also, a lot of people say, oh, I don't have time to cook a home cooked meal. But I'm just thinking, like today, I had a food tour in the morning with some clients, and then I got home and I only had half an hour to eat lunch. And I made a beautiful plate of pasta with zucchini because I had pasta in my pantry. I had delicious olive oil and zucchini in the fridge. I had 2 zucchini. And it took me exactly like 8 minutes to make this pasta.
Mhm.
And it's just about being organized and really not thinking of cooking as some time-consuming, difficult thing. It's easy and it can be fun and delicious.
I lived in Italy in '92 for a year, and what I found is that meals were immutable there. Like you planned around meals, you didn't, plan your activities and then plan your meals. Like everything was based on what you were going to eat and when you were going to eat, and that was the first thing that they set when they were in Italy when I was in there, and I appreciated that because the culture, as you talk about, food is the first thing. That was definitely the first thing they were talking about.
Nobody
what they were
forgets
gonna
to eat lunch there.
Nobody. and we had a little glass
It's
of wine.
true. Food is central here.
Well, that the other thing that always amazed us when we travel through Italy is that food is always fantastic. It's often homegrown, and when people come out of these old stone houses, they just like you keep expecting some. I don't know how to say it, but a senior woman to come out, kind of in a house dress, and here comes these men and women come out. The gates open. All of a sudden, from the courtyard, they come out in their Lamborghini and they're in Armani suits, and it's like this the funniest transition out of these old cobblestone buildings into this modern fashion.
Yes, it's true. But
Definitely
yeah,
in
food is
Piedmont,
like a
Barolo.
religion here. It's all we talk about every day, all day. And like Sunday lunches are a huge thing. But even our lunch break during the work week is people usually take at least an hour lunch break and they actually sit down either at a coffee bar, at a restaurant. They would never eat in front of their computer screen. That you'll never see happen in Italy.
That's funny. That's how I spend 99% of my meals.
I liked your approach to cooking with the seasons as a way to be more mindful of slowing down and noticing what was going on in the natural world. And I want to hear more about that dish, the vignarola.
Yes, so that's a spring dish, and it's a mix of all the spring vegetables which we patiently wait for all year. So asparagus, artichoke, fava beans, and peas, and they're all cooked together with fresh onions and mint, and it is so good. And unfortunately, there's no longer spring vegetables available in Italy. We're eating the very last artichokes of the season. But now there's beautiful summer vegetables to look forward to. So tomatoes, cucumbers, eggplants. So we're starting to eat those.
Summer's
Lovely.
upon us.
I know. Sad but true. In Seattle, spring hasn't even really happened yet. Although yesterday's rain felt very, very warm comparatively. Yeah. Sophie, anything else you want to tell us? We only have a minute left about your book.
No, my book is available on Amazon and bookstores as well. And if your local bookstore doesn't carry it, you can always ask them to order a few copies for you, and they'll be happy to order it for you.
I think it's a terrific way to kind of read this before you're heading over the pond and kind of set up your vacation around some of these ideas of living life, la dolce vita, the sweet life.
Yes.
All right. The sweetness of doing nothing. Live life the Italian way with dolce far niente. Thank you, Sophie.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
How fun is that? Didn't that sound like a good way to spend this afternoon?
I'm going to start with a nap right after
That sounds
this.
foreign.
I think we should go down on the deck at Seatown and just go
And just
have an aperitif. No, first we're going to sleep on the deck. We're taking a
we're
nap.
gonna nap.
And then we're going to get up and we're going to have an aperitif so that we can digest our dinner better.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, please.
Okay, fine. All right. When we come back, we're going to learn a little bit more about my co-host today, Eric Tanaka, about his history, feeding his family, and current food passions. You just heard he has 5 children. Oh, my
Only
God.
5.
On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Woo!
Let me pass the book to our audience. Yes, please.
Can I have the mustard, Pamela, please?
It's a good little hit, isn't it? Oh, so good. Oh, I know. We have all the ingredients too. starts with a V.
Nice to see a line at the bakery, huh?
Oh my God.
Were they
I thought it was a tour group. I'm like, oh no, that's fine.
Were they short-handed or just?
Just too many people.
Actually hired out.
I know.
Knock on wood.
Actually, sometimes it does. I do keep very active, but I like the segment of the day where you absolutely.
That's what I say, it stresses me out because I'm thinking, the whole time I'm doing that, I'm thinking about all the things.
But accomplish something before you do nothing.
That's it. That's it.
You know, she mentioned the Negroni. I had a smoky Negroni.
What made it smoky?
They added smoke.
Oh,
Like you do with an old fashioned or something like that. And a touch of mezcal. It was delicious.
oh, that sounds perfect.
Homemade, so. They'll be a little hard to go run out there this afternoon.
Ah, we need to learn how to make those.
Oh, it was delicious.
Well, oh wow.
They think about,
Mm. What was the best restaurant, or what's considered the Portland go-to place right now?
you know, I don't know. My niece took me to so many places that it's
Yeah.
hard to remember which one was best. But I mentioned earlier, Portland's restaurants survived the pandemic almost all of them. They are open now.
Wonderful.
What's the name of that restaurant? I loved it there. It was all those food was cooked on the wood fire.
Yeah. I keep thinking like hearth, earth, something, but I know that
So
wasn't
good.
it. Can't wait.
That's a long time ago, though. I mean, it's been 25 years ago. That's your people, Pam.
Absolutely.
Is it El Forno?
No,
Is that
Providence.
Connecticut?
Didn't one of them pass away?
So,
I thought it was in the artichoke.
Aline.
section.
Right? Ooh, I needed that. You want to try and pop a segment in the?
If
And-
Danica has time to
Yeah,
stay.
Let's do it right now. Take your time. We'll do ET first, and then we'll come back and do yours. You're in the Hot Stove Society kitchen.
Yes, you are.
It's a problem with eating. You're in the Hot Stove Society kitchen on Cairo Radio. It's Tom Douglas
and E.T.
and ET Eric Tanaka, my partner today, filling in for Mr. Terry Rotro, the chef in the chapeau, who's floating down a river in France somewhere. Hopefully he's getting his favorite. He loves his mother's pot de fou. So hopefully he's getting a little version, a spring version of that on his way back. ET, you've been with our company for how many years now?
Almost 30.
Almost 30. And
Woo!
yeah, and
you look like a spring chicken.
I feel like one.
and you became a partner about, I would say, 20 years ago, or maybe even longer.
Somewhere
Yeah.
in there.
Yeah, somewhere in that
Amazing.
area. So we're thrilled to have you, and I'm indebted to your knowledge and your passion. And I was talking about that earlier. It was like in the opening of the show, how fun it is. You're so connected, much more than I ever was. I would go out and go to other restaurants around the country when I traveled, but you're connected day in and day out with the food scene in other cities and making sure that we're staying hip and on it. And it's just the things that you love. So tell us a little bit about your food story, your food history, and then how you got to Seattle. You can leave your first wife out of it if you want. No, just kidding. You can't though, because your two kids from your first marriage are lovely children.
They are great.
They are great kids.
Yeah.
And of course, you have 3 with Danica, and you've got a rich life.
Yeah, feels like it sometimes. Over rich. But you know, I think I think you and I share a lot of. I mean, we have different sensibilities in food and different things, but I think we both love to eat and we enjoy company. And I think that's the basis of what how I got into this. I went to college. You know, I have majored in economics and urban planning, and I was trying to stay in school forever because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
And
but
your parents were paying?
Yeah, and they eventually kicked me out. I was going for an art history minor. Whatever it is, I was piecing together, you know, something. But, you know, I was working for the city of Irvine in their urban planning department doing bike trails. The most miserable I've ever been in an office. It was just not my thing. And my mom was like, why don't you apply at a restaurant? Like, well, I've never worked in a restaurant. I just really love to eat. I wanted to go to cooking school out of high school, but my parents were like, no way. That's not, you know, what you can do. You have to go to college. So they're paying, so I went. But I was miserable. So my mom clipped me an ad, you know, she's a good mom, and said, here, this is a really good restaurant. You should go, you know, get a job there. I'm like, who's going to hire me? Like, I've really literally never worked in a restaurant.
But had you shown, like, did you always love to go to restaurants with your parents, or why did
Yeah, I mean, I love to eat. So, and they were once again paying. So it was free and it was tasty. So I'd go. But I actually went and I got the job. And I quit after a month. And this is a story for you. I quit after a
pointing to
brunch.
Julia in our audience, I think.
I quit after a brunch because I broke the hollandaise 8 times. 8 times. Every cook was giving me a different way to fix it. So I had 8 different ways I tried it. So I quit after that, and I'm like, chef, I'm terrible. I don't want to bring the team down, because what I discovered that I loved about cooking is that it's a team thing. I played sports all my life. And it's really a team. Like, you don't want to let the team down. Like, one weak link in a team kind of screws your service up. So he was like, oh, don't worry, you'll be fine. And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yeah, don't worry, you'll be fine. So that little boost of confidence, it actually did propel me. So I did find my rhythm there, and I never broke hollandaise after that. And actually, I figured out my own way to, you know, fix it if it was broken. So it's one of those things. I know you've been trying for 20 years, 30 years, however long, on your steak Oscar. So I'm going to say keep at it, because I think you're going to get it. And I'll send you my notes if you need them. So I started cooking as at the bottom, as everybody should. I think it's indispensable to just respecting the ingredients and the culture within a restaurant. I think, you know, not to be generationally trite, but, you know, some younger generations just want to start at the top and feel like they've done it all. But I think starting at the bottom is really indispensable to figuring out how you want to be within a kitchen and really what excites you. So
don't you think that that change kind of happened when, you know, it used to be an apprentice system, just like in plumbing or electrical, or it was apprentice cooks, sort of, especially in Europe. And then it turned into people going to culinary school instead of getting that hands-on instruction, and then coming out thinking that they needed a different level of work.
I actually think it started with not Julia Child cooking shows, but glamorization of cooking and food. Because working in a kitchen is gritty, but some of these kitchen shows kind of really made it seem
they
glamorous.
gloss over some of that.
Yeah. And you know, some of that hubris of you know, maybe older school generations of kitchens caught up, and you know, there's a lot of different pieces coming down, you know, the pike of what's acceptable or not. But you know, as far as glossing over things, but I think just watching these chef documentaries where you're 450 miles outside, like picking lichen from a forest and then, you know, fermenting it, and you know, it seems so wow. But you're a long way from that when you're starting out in a kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that.
All right.
Yeah. So actually, after I broke the hollandaise 8 times, I actually progressed very rapidly because I practiced at home. I would cook for my parents. I would cook for anybody who would eat the food, essentially. And because I was living with my parents because I was a poor cook, graduated with 2 majors, but here I am. So actually, I was promoted to be a sous chef after 6 months, and then asked to move to New York to be a chef. Actually, opening a sous chef in New York. We were opening a restaurant there, and I knew the guy that was the chef was going to quit, so I was a chef in New York after 1 year.
Wow. At a pretty, I mean, you were on Publishers Row. They're on 55th, right?
Yeah, no, it was fancy. Like it was basically all the publishing
Pretty
houses
much
in New York.
every
ate
cookbook
there.
was coming off of that street.
I cooked for Martha Stewart there. Plain chicken breast, nothing. That was it. But it was fantastic. I mean, to be in New York as a young, and I wouldn't even call myself a chef at that point. I was really well versed in the menu that we did at this one specific restaurant. I knew it backwards and forwards. I was great at that. But it's interesting. We now try and provide so much more support for our team. Like I was just thrown into a lot of situations that nobody told me how to do, like hiring, firing, anything. So
because the chef job is only 25% cooking.
Yeah.
If that. Yeah. It's mostly managing a brigade.
Yeah. So I think but I was really still self-motivated, and a wine broker, an Italian wine broker, asked if I wanted to go to Italy, and I'm like, yeah. So he made a call, set me up. I was in Piedmont and Barolo, cooked there for a year, and then came back to New York. Worked at the Gotham Bar and Grill, which at that time was one of the top restaurants in New York. And then segued out here and was on my way to San Francisco, but met Tom, and I feel like we hit it off.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Here we are 30 years later.
Here we are.
Well, I'm a big fan, Eric, as you know, and I've told you, and certainly told your wife, Danica, that we wouldn't be where we are without you. And when you and Pam were actually running our company, we were never better off. So
I agree.
So, all right. Thank you for your story. And if you want to know more about ET, we'll try and have him on to talk about that year in Italy and all the things that you do and you did in your life, including
like
working.
Sophie, I did nap a lot in Italy.
And ate a lot of
After
pasta.
lunch, we'd have a little glass of wine, some pasta, then we'd go home for an hour to take a nap and then come back to work.
Luxurious.
All right. We still have another full hour of deliciousness coming at you right here from the Hot Stove Society Show. Cairo Radio 97.3 FM.
Sweet. Yeah, yesterday. Everything was in mountains of piles. Yeah. Ah, looks great.
It's pretty good. Yeah. We have our new restaurant is getting closer to opening out in Totem Lake. So
on this next one, Sam Gordon asking about your beef stroganoff, but change Julia's to the steak Oscar, since that would be fun.
I have no recollection of my beef stroganoff recipe. I mean, I made it. That was 42 years ago.
How would you make it today? So let's tell him that.
All right. I made it 45 years.
No, you're not that old.
45 years
That's
ago.
impossible. On what?
No, I wouldn't be. Thank you very much. I did one cooking show in my life, and that was Iron Chef with E.T. and Mark, and he won, and that's enough for me.
You're just going to rest on your laurels? You
Food-
could
food
beat Bobby
shouldn't-
Flay.
Food shouldn't be a competition,
Oh.
for God's sake.
So did you want to get Danica in the can? Or?
Yeah, let's put Danica in the can. Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay.
What's our 9-minute segment? Or we can do it in the opening of the second hour next week. That sound better?
Okay.
775?
Yeah.
No, we're gonna go 775. What is that? $745. Sorry. And then we'll have to do an opening for that. So 6 minutes total. If you're watching on YouTube, we're going to do a segment now since we have Danica with us about Ukraine and nutrition. When we come, we're going to put it in the can for next week. So when you're watching next week, you'll have that little blank in your.
Sounds
Or whenever
good.
we can fit it in, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. 6 minutes, Sean. Danica, we're back here in the hot stove kitchen, and we had you on the show a week or two ago about Ukraine and kind of giving us an update since the benefit that we did here at the hot stove for Jose Andres and the World Central Kitchen. And we missed kind of talking a little bit about the nutrition value of some of the food that's going on because it doesn't help for us to send a bunch of potato chips and soda pop to Ukraine, right? So the things that we are sending need to be have a value to them. So what does that look like?
Well, I think you'll see a lot of headlines now about either existing or pending food crisis, and people are linking it to this war in Ukraine. And so where that is coming from is Ukraine, known as the bread basket of Europe. And we talked a little bit about how the first time I was on the show about how when you give somebody, instead of a bouquet of flowers in Ukraine, it's often a bouquet of wheat. And you'll see that at memorials and monuments as well. So they, along with Russia, produce almost a third of the world's wheat. And right now, that wheat is either subject to sanctions on Russia's part or subject to a Russian blockade for Ukrainian grain. And so there are something like 20 million tons of grain in silos in Odessa, and it can't get out. And it hasn't been able to get out since February. And because of where the Black Sea is and the shipping lines, a lot of that grain is destined for the developing world and in Africa. And so the most vulnerable people who are maybe facing the immediate shortage are on the coast of Africa, some parts of the Middle East. So they have other crops besides just wheat, maize and barley, which is used for often for feeding livestock, and then sunflower oil. They're like 50% of the world's sunflower oil, which is pretty important oil in some places for cooking. And the UN estimates that they are responsible for 12% of worldwide calories. So the blockade and the inability to move this grain is going to affect a lot of people, and is starting to affect people right now. They can't use the roads to get it out. Those are bombed. They can't use airplanes, and they just can't get those ships out because there are kind of the equivalent of landmines, sea mines that are around there and can blow up entire ships. So that's a piece of it. I think, there are other pieces impacting the potential global crisis, and that is, of course, COVID, that has made disruptions in distribution and also in labor around the world. And then climate change is also offering a lot of, not offering,
challenges,
but imposing quite a few challenges. But probably the biggest link between food security and what's happening in Ukraine is the inability to export fertilizer. Ukraine is a huge producer of fertilizer, and they are not going to be able to get that out. The futures markets on fertilizers are going crazy right now. Producers are expecting much lower yields. Farmers in developing countries are considering not farming at all because their cost of fertilizing is sometimes 5 times as high now, and they can't make a profitable run. So if this year the problem is maybe the access to food, getting it out of Ukraine and to the rest of the world, next year it might be the actual production of food. So we could see a pretty big depression in worldwide food production due to the inability to get the fertilizer that everybody's expecting.
So is there a certain mix that people are using to feed the, kids that are only getting 1 meal a day instead of 3? Are they Are they figuring out how to make superfoods, less of it, but more intense?
In Ukraine, or are we thinking worldwide?
Well, that's worldwide, really. I mean, that's been happening in Africa forever, right? Or in places that are short on food.
Well, I think what the UN has suggested for a while is if we could stop feeding the grain to livestock and have more vegetarian-based diets, that's one way to really distribute food more for humans.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one idea. I think we're back about talking for a diet for a small planet.
Right. Pamela, that's right up your alley, isn't it?
It's my mantra.
Yeah, not in a, I don't mean in a preachy way, but it appeals to you.
Well, our reliance on the industrial animal crops has created so many climate problems and health problems. So we need to eat more plants.
Yeah. But it's not just, we're not just industrial in plants. We're industrial in corn. Romaine lettuce is industrialized.
Yes.
It's all coming from hot parts that happen to have water.
Monoculture, 5-mile strips of broccoli when you drive down I-5.
Right.
Not an insect or pollinator can be seen.
Ooh, that's heavy.
And all of that fertilizer runoff. And it's all connected.
It's all connected. Well, it is Danica Noble. Thank you for doing that, and updating us on what we can be doing. Again, if you want to help Ukraine refugees, I know what we're doing as a company is World Central Kitchen. If you look around, Pam, I think you had a couple last week when you were talking about any other places you can give people to jump in and try and help still.
Yeah, I would say if you live in or around Seattle, as always with Eric, our favorite recommendation is go to Aurora. And at 135th and Aurora is European Foods. And that is run by a Ukrainian immigrant family, a mother and her son. So you go there, they've got kind of a little store, but they also have a cafe. And yeah, someone's mom is going to cook you lunch or dinner if you're there. Right. It's really delicious.
And they can connect you to charities that are doing good work over there.
Right at the register, they have a bunch of opportunities, and they're really plugged into the community here.
Thank you, Danica Noble. When we come back, more on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. All right, so we'll use that piece, Sean Dottori.
I love a woman who does her homework.
As you're listening, that's going to be married with an opening to that segment for next week's show.
Incredible. Nice.
All right, we're going to continue on our show. Welcome back. It's hour number 2 of the Hot Stove Society Show. Chef Eric Tanaka sitting in with me, covering for that lazy son of a gun, Thierry Rotero, still on vacation in France.
We're only jealous.
Jesus, in a what do they call a lounge chair in France? A laissez-faire. Lounging down and floating down the Rhone River. Well, we hope he's having a blast, honestly. So he deserves his time. Chef Tanaka, we have a whole bacon tasting coming up. I know that's right up your alley, although you're a cheeseburger man.
I am a cheeseburger man, but you actually got me a bacon sampler pack.
Yes, I did.
Pamela, you were talking about the differences or just all these fancy bacons. They actually make a huge difference. It was actually amazing to me.
So we're going to talk about that later in the show. We are also going to do our Food for Thought Tasty Trivia is making a return this week.
It certainly is.
Wow. I'm so excited about that since I got crushed last week. I'm going to take it out on you all. And then let's talk about Baconopolis later in the show. First, you have a couple of listener questions.
2 listener questions. Sam Gordon is still remembering your beef stroganoff.
I love that it's my beef stroganoff.
That you made at Benjamin's, which you say you've got a modern adaptation now that you want to recommend to Sam because you can't remember the way you made
Sam,
it.
That was 45 years ago. That was my first job in Seattle at the Bellevue Benjamin's, which was owned by Mr. Weisfield of I think Weisfield Jeweler fame. Anyway, yeah, I have no recollection other than we sauteed the meat, seared it like we did. very popular at that time were these saute houses like the 13 Coins, Boondocks on Broadway. I mean, all of these saute houses. And I really kind of take it back to San Francisco time. They were popular there. So, of course, then they became popular in Seattle. But just sauteing the meat, stirring in sour cream, stirring in the pasta. And that was what I remember of stroganoff. To this day, I would probably do the same. I would saute the meat or stew the meat, depending on what cut you have. If you're doing like strips of beef tenderloin, you can just saute it and be done. If you have beef stew meat, you have to braise it. And then at the end, stirring in, with sauteed mushrooms, stirring in the sour cream, putting it over buttered noodles. Don't forget the butter, lots of buttered noodles. And fresh parsley on top. And that to me is beef stroganoff. Do you have any difference of
Do
opinion?
you put any stock or any liquid?
I don't remember at Benjamin's if I did or not, but I'm sure we probably did. So
Yeah.
But how would you do it now? Is that what you're thinking, Eric? That
I would add just a little bit, and I'd probably deglaze with a touch of white wine, oddly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then some herbs like parsley, whatever. It's good, but
thanks for making me remember that time of my life.
Well, and Julia Graham is with us, and she has her great curiosity about steak Oscar, which I have never had. So you both can help her make it perfectly next time.
Well, I'm going to leave this to ET. I mean, at Benjamin's, we made steak or veal Oscar also, and we heard from Julie that she likes to put asparagus on hers and the crab, right? The king crab or Dungeness crab, your choice. ET, how would you go about like using a filet mignon Oscar?
pretty much saute house style. I'd saute that up, but as
You
Thomas,
saute the steak itself.
yeah, saute the steak itself. I don't rare, medium rare, however you take your steak. Let that rest. But I think really what happens prior is kind of prepping the hollandaise. I think that was a bigger part.
And the
of,
asparagus and the king crab. Yeah.
but I think in a restaurant style that would be prepped and ready to go, and you're just warming and topping. But the hollandaise. So back to my illustrious history with that. I think at home it's probably just a 2 yolk batch with maybe a half pound of butter. But you would warm that butter up, and you'd have a double boiler. So you put those 2 yolks over a double boiler, and you're going to mix those yolks up, and you're trying to just set them. You're not letting them curdle, so you're not overcooking them. And this is the hard part: is it can't be too hot and it can't be too cold. If it gets
I'm going to take you back 1 second, though.
Yeah.
When I was making a 40 egg batch, we would always add lemon juice and water, a little bit of water when we were cooking our eggs.
Yeah, I would add. I did lemon juice and a touch of champagne vinegar,
Tabasco.
Cook that out.
Yeah.
And then finish with the lemon just to season.
So you finish after you put the butter in.
I would only put a little bit of after I put the butter. So you're not putting the whole load of lemon. You're finishing. So you're seasoning that piece, because I think it should be really, really nice and bright. So you're finishing with that just to make sure. Sometimes when you cook the lemon, to me, you're cooking out the citrus in that. So
I love a real lemony hollandaise.
Yeah.
So now we're back to a double boiler. We've got the bowl kind of over a simmering, not a heavy boil, a simmering water.
Yeah, simmering
and
water.
you've got a whisk, and you're just going to beat it up. What's your next question, Julia?
Okay, we need to back up even before the hollandaise.
Okay.
So you're saying have all the ingredients like the asparagus and the crab and everything already on the asparagus. So now, because I fail at this favorite dish all the time, how much am I cooking the asparagus and how to do it?
Okay.
Stove, steam, what?
It depends. I think a more modern piece might be to grill it now. Back in the day, it was probably poached and then steamed.
Okay.
And I don't think they even blanched it. So dropping it in hot water, I don't think they did that. You would do that now just to hold the color. But obviously, it comes back down to cold. So you're going to have to reheat that. But what we would do probably is we'd have that steak, cooked and resting. You would put that asparagus on a tray. And then when your hollandaise is all ready, you would drop that into the oven.
Drop what in the oven?
Your meat and your asparagus.
Just to kind of rewarm it a bit.
Now, do I have the asparagus on top of the steak at this point?
Yes. No. the pieces. He's saying put the pieces all on a tray, pop it in the oven to get it all back warm again. 'cause-
Except for the crab.
no, you can put the crab in too.
Everything.
Just you're not cooking it; you're warming it now.
Yeah, just warming it. Bring it up to temp. So you'd have that in the oven. You would bring that out when it's hot, maybe 3 minutes, 2 minutes. You know, like Tom said, you don't want to cook it. You'd have your plate out. You're gonna put your steak. You're gonna put your asparagus on top, and then your crab.
On top of the asparagus.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you're just gonna nape that with your beautiful, luxurious hollandaise,
Okay.
and then maybe some chopped parsley.
Can I ask one other little
Yes.
one? Okay. Now, on the holidays, things are in the oven,
Mhm.
staying warm.
Yeah, 150-degree oven. You're just getting it warmed up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. And now that's when I'm starting the holidays.
Oh no,
No,
you
no,
can
no, no,
start
no,
it.
no.
Really, it's done. Before you even start cooking the steak, the first thing you do is you're gonna make your hollandaise because you can hold it. You'll just hold it in a warm
Oh,
bath of
over.
water.
Over a warm bath of water.
Okay, in the double. Okay.
Yeah.
So okay, on the holidays. So now I got
Yeah, you
the eggs,
whipped
the
up
egg
your
yolks in there.
lemon
They're
juice,
in there. And
vinegar,
lemon
use
juice.
that.
And the melted
Butter,
butter.
one small ladle at a time. Just keep
That's
whisking until it
key.
brings tears to your eyes.
And some people will
From
clarify that
boredom
butter.
or from
Some people will clarify your butter. I don't do that. I'll just take off
Okay.
the top. So just the clear stuff off the top. And as you add it in, it's going to thicken up. So
So
what I'll
I'm
do
whisking.
is use the milk solids on the bottom to actually adjust how thick or thin you want your hollandaise. So I think it's better to have it thicker. As it heats, it's going to kind of melt down. So if it's too thin, it's going to run off.
All right, Julia, I have to cut you off because our time is up. But thank you. That was a good question. And maybe we should do a whole segment on all the different things you can do with Oscar.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. Up next.
New to me, Oscars. Can't wait. Time for bacon
it time?
discussions.
Up next, it's a return of our Baconopolis here at the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. What to do with all the different bacons in the world. 97.3 FM.
Yeah.
That was good. Thank you. Bye, Danica.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Danica.
Are you still working from home?
We have a new return to work policy. I have to work in the office once a week.
Are you going today?
No, it was, but I have a whole new crop of interns, so I'll just go out then with some treats for me.
There you go.
Nice.
See you guys.
Bye.
I wanted to know how you fix broken.
It depends on how broken, and basically you'll just start with water, and then re-emulsify. You can just take the broken stuff and it's the same process, just really slowly add it in, but over the double broiler. It's if it's cold, the butter will just turn back into butter, kind of, so it separates that way. Or if it's too hot, it'll separate. Like when it's just at room temp, it's a solid block. You'll see when it gets hot, it separates into the milk solids, and then you'll see just whey. So it's separating essentially is what it's doing. When it's the egg helps hold all of those pieces in suspension, so it's homogeneous that way. So you're just breaking the bonds between those two, and that's what happens. But the water helps separate it and reform it so that it's that same homogeneous state that it was when it wasn't broken. So,
I have very little luck personally of reconstituting hollandaise, but we always took our extra hollandaise and refrigerated it and broke it on purpose so we could recycle the butter. Because there's a lot of butter in it.
What?
Your hollandaise shouldn't really taste like eggs too much. It really tastes like butter.
yeah, you're really trying to use as little egg as possible. It's really a butter sauce, not an egg sauce.
Oh, it's so rich and delicious. Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's so,
Yeah.
no need to.
I always loved hollandaise on asparagus. That was one of my
Yeah.
Yeah.
and béarnaise on a steak. So it's béarnaise. Béarnaise is hollandaise with a reduction of shallots tarragon and red wine vinegar,
Oh,
basically.
tarragon.
You reduce that down and then stir it into your hollandaise. One of the few classic sauces I know.
Delicious though.
You don't put cream of mushroom soup in your stroganoff. Dang, that's what my mom taught me.
Yep, I get it.
The canned, or no, the jarred mushrooms is what I grew up on. Jarred mushrooms.
We called that army grub in my house.
Army grub.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We're back in the kitchen. It's Hot Stove Society Radio on Cairo, and we're happy to be here. We've got a couple more segments to do today, including the return of Baconopolis. Pam, tell me about what's going on with Baconopolis.
Well, on Father's Day, we're scaling it down a little bit because we're doing it here at Hot Stove. We couldn't do such a grand thing as we used to do at the ballroom.
Right, 350 people
right.
eating 12 kinds of bacon.
But we keeping the core concept, which is choosing 6 different bacons that you get to taste naked, and then you get to taste them used in a dish.
Mm-hmm.
So Annie and I have been doing the research on the wild, crazy, diverse world of bacon out there to decide which ones to buy. But I want to give you the list of the dishes that we chose so you guys can talk about what bacons you would recommend. And we are going to start with barbecue chicken bites that are wrapped in bacon. Then there is a cheddar and bacon corn pudding. Big fan of corn puddings. A spectacular bacon and cabbage stir fry.
You know, I had that at the Royal Dumpling House. They use pork belly. It was delicious. I hadn't really thought about doing that.
Is going to be incredible. And then, of course, a grits dish with a baked egg in it. And also, as a palate cleanser, a crispy bacon broccoli salad. So Annie's first research, and we thought of this one late. We've got to get Dusky's bacon from Sonoma, don't you think?
Yes.
Hempler's for a simpler one.
That's local.
To have a local one. She was looking at the Snake River American 100% Curabota Berkshire hog bacon. Then there's
So here's what I would say about that.
Yes.
Do you want this opinion now? Or do you
yeah,
want
yeah.
To me, some of those things like hog bacon, it's really not about, in my mind, the bacon itself, unless it tastes super porky. Maybe that's going to be the difference in that bacon. But it's really how it's cured and smoked is what's going to make all these very different. Because we're not really talking about bacons of the world where if you're in Ireland or in England, you get the kind of the pork loin that's been cured and barely smoked. I mean, we're talking about traditional American style strip bacon from the belly.
Yes.
On all of these, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Although we are very enchanted with both a Texas wild boar bacon because this claim from Beck and Bulow is that their diet of nuts and tubers gives a really dramatic difference in the meat flavor. And Annie was looking at the duck bacon from Moulard Ducks in Missouri. Do you think that would be too strong a flavor?
I don't think so.
No, not even for a minute.
No.
When they make these bacons, they're usually cured in salt and sugar, and honestly, they all taste very similar. So it's a smoke level, and now it's going to taste a little bit different and be a little bit more meaty with the duck compared to, say, pork belly. So that's the kind of difference you're going to notice.
I think one of the things I found with the bacons that you got me, Tom, is that with commercial bacon, the fat just renders completely out. With these fancier hogs, the fat doesn't render. So there's a lot more, and it's not a fatty texture. It's actually a meaty. There was a really meaty texture to the fat because it doesn't render out in the same way.
Yeah, the fat renders, but the structure, the cellulose of the fat stays in place.
Yeah.
Right.
So
there's crunch there, but even though it's not one of the meat slice or the meat strip that you can see through a slice of bacon.
Yeah.
But it's still there and it's still crunchy and delicious.
Yeah, and it carries a lot more flavor because the cures in smoke have penetrated, and that was the biggest I agree with Tom. The biggest part was smoke levels. Like some were so smoky. So I think that would be the first thing that I would look at is measuring out how much smoke you want in each dish.
And is it the cure technique that keeps it from rendering the fat as much? I'm a little confused.
Well, I think Eric is saying it's the type of hog that they use.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which I actually don't know scientifically anything about that. I'm going to bring a surprise bacon though, because when I ordered my Benton Country ham for that Mother's Day class that I was doing,
Yes.
I ordered 5 pounds of their bacon, and I have 2 pounds left. The rest are right here.
Yeah.
Because my wife won't eat it. It's too smoky for her. It's like a double
Yeah,
smoke.
she doesn't
bacon.
like a lot of smoke.
No. So
I use it in my split pea soup.
yeah, it goes a
Oh,
long ways, doesn't it?
perfect.
It's really good because once again, that bacon, some of the lesser hogs, whatever, the bacon just kind of disappears. This
Mhm.
one was very present.
Now, when
which
you're
I
making
liked.
that in the soup, are you cooking the bacon first, or are you like chopping it up, cooking it, and then adding all the rest of your ingredients? To it?
No, I'll cook first and
Uh.
use the rendered fat, then to just sweat out and do carrots or whatever veggies we
Yeah.
have. Carrots and cauliflower usually.
Yeah.
Onion, garlic, and then with that, I actually had to add more fat because it didn't render that much fat. Usually with regular bacon, there's more than enough fat.
You know, Pam, the key on something like that is to take that rendered fat and saute your croutons in it that you're going to put on top. You're going to put on top of your soup. Yeah.
Yeah.
What Annie and I were behind the calendar on this, but we thought about should we have made our own bacon, and I don't have experience with that. Have you either of you made bacon
Oh yeah,
much?
we used to make bacon at the Palace. It doesn't take that long. You can either just straight salt cure it, or you can get some curing salt, throw that in there, so that will preserve color. Or you can try celery salt in there too. It's a natural process for as far as
That's where you get your gray corned beef and your gray bacon, things like that. You like, Pam. Just natural. Well, you're such a natural head.
it just depends on how thick your belly is, because you're essentially just trying to cure it the whole way through. You don't get it cured through, you're going to have a band of brown in the middle and then pink on the outside, which we've done. We've mastered that technique.
Maybe you'll help me get a belly ready.
Yeah.
That would be wonderful.
Well, when is this event?
The 19th.
Of this month.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have time.
We do have time?
Yeah,
Because
for
that would
sure.
be pretty sexy if we had our own competing against these. The last one
How
that
do people buy a ticket to it?
hotstovesociety.com. There's a full blood Wagyu bacon, $38 a pound.
So a beef bacon.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're
This-
pulling that off the breastplate. You know how that plate is about 50% fat on a
We
steer?
took some samples.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
What samples of what? Tell me.
That off that plate,
It's called the plate cut.
short plate, and it's just this thin piece of meat, but it's really marbled. It's not layered like a pork belly, but it's just mottled with fat. But it would cook up similar in that way.
Yeah, it was delicious.
Sounds very exotic.
Well, we're not going to do that. That was a little out there. So hotstovesociety.com is where to go for Baconopolis. We'd love to see you come down and hang with us for a couple hours and eat some bacon. And are we going to have a winner? I mean, at the Baconopolis, we always had a winner of the fan favorite of all the different bacons.
And we're calling it "You're Baking Me Crazy."
You're baking me crazy. Wow, you
We've
guys
updated it.
Seriously original. All right, I'm looking forward to that. We'll get that pork belly today. I'll try and go get one.
Oh, that'd
get
be
it started,
fabulous.
yeah. All right, next up, it's time for Kamayan, Filipino Feast from Diane Cruz. When we come back at the Hot Stove Society radio show, Cairo.
Yeah. Hey,
97.3
Annie.
FM.
Good morning. Will you
Hi,
talk
Annie.
Kamayan with Diane? You're the best.
I thought you ditched the dude. That's the first guy. You used him for his steak. Yeah. Okay.
But he's and he asked me this question the other day. When I was in college, I used to work at this meat warehouse thing, and they would smoke all the steak.
Hmm.
If it's smoked, then why do I have to?
Probably don't. Yeah.
It's pretty raw.
Well, it's not rendered, but it's probably not. It probably wouldn't hurt you. Yeah. Just like a cured and smoked ham. As long as it's cured, I think you're okay. Just like hot dogs, you don't have to cook a hot dog. You don't have to cook a ham. All those smoked ham hocks are all 100% cooked. Yeah, my dad liked his bacon rare. It's just always grossed me out.
Oh, prosciutto's just cured.
I know.
I haven't heard if I'm washing dishes at Carlisle yet.
We're subbing these plantains now for regular tortilla chips for our masa pasta.
Delicious.
She's back, isn't it fantastic? She's back there shredding away. You guys need a plantain?
I'm okay.
I'm okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Right now we're off. Okay. I'll do this with the. All right.
All right, Andy, let's rumble.
You're gonna sit. Somebody sits there. Somebody's taking ET's microphone.
Yeah. Andy.
Wow, don't Diane. She's not the boss of you. You sit where you want to sit. Just say no, Diane.
Don't listen to Tom. Perfect. Thank you, Tom.
Keep coming up.
All right.
I'm really excited about the food, but I think what's fun about it is.
Yeah, we'll let them do all the
Diane
talking.
and Annie,
Yeah.
came up with this themselves.
You know how to be nice for 10 minutes?
Ooh.
It might be a record. You go for it.
She's very sweet, Tom, if you know it.
Have you guys met Edna Mode before from The Incredibles? Right here?
No.
Now that's gullible right there. First of all,
Don't
she's a
trust everything.
cartoon. She's a cartoon character. First of all.
This is exciting. Two beautiful women at the same time.
Am I saying it right, Kamayan?
Kamayan?
Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
saying it right.
Just like when you were pronouncing Vietnamese dishes, that was
I'd like to hear you speak in that language a little because I've heard you to your family a little bit, and it's a different sound than I'm used to.
oh.
So you could say, "I love working with Annie."
Well, you could not lie. You could say, I love working with Tom.
It's not a suggestion, Tom.
All right, here we go. We're back. It's the Hot Stove Society Kitchen Show on Cairo Radio, and I'm joined by two of my workmates here at the Hot Stove, Diane Cruz and Annie Elmore, both from Asia, I will say, with Asian background, but also Diane, you are more Filipino, and Annie, you're more Cambodian. Is that right?
Yeah, Vietnamese, Cambodian.
Vietnamese, Cambodian. But let's talk. It's time for the Filipino tradition known as Kamayan, and it stands for eating and feasting with your hands, which is always a good thing in my book. Can you tell us about the tradition and about how you grew up with it and what you look forward to every year for this?
What I look forward to every year would probably be all the food on the table. So there's a lot of rice, there's a lot of meat, and sometimes
Literally on the table.
it's actually on a whole banana leaf,
Oh,
and
okay.
then there's rice, and then there's like there's vegetables, there's fish, and then if you're lucky and you're feeling extra festive, there's like a whole pork that's fried right in the middle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. And what do you know about this? Miss Elmore?
Well, I came across an article a long time ago, probably 4 years ago, and I kept it in my notebook for the longest time. And I mean, the picture looks amazing because you got the sausage, you got the guinea pig, you got fried fish, you got a bunch of vegetables. It's like, this is something I want to eat, and I love Filipino food. The hardest part is like there's not a lot of restaurants around here. You have to make it at home, or you have to know friends who can make it. So I did it once. Actually, I did it twice at home. My niece's boyfriend is Filipino, so for his birthday, I made it for him a couple years ago, and I kind of came up with my own thing. Like instead of a whole pig, I did a pork belly with a skin on, and I did fish fillet instead of a whole fish because it was kind of hard to fry whole fish at home. I did go get laganisa, but I didn't make it myself. And like a bunch of vegetables and stuff like that. And so when Diane came on, she wanted to do it last year in November, but we were so busy with holiday parties and stuff like that, so we couldn't do it. We wanted to do then is to remember her mom and her dad, but we couldn't do it. So we trying to do it now. Just why we're not really busy with holiday parties.
It's nice to have a remembrance of your parents for Father's Day.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Very excited.
So, what
about
part of it are you most looking forward to? This is a large feast. Did you have a favorite taste in that feast?
Yes, actually, I really like the pork lumpia. It means the dish specifically means a lot to me. As you know, I'm not like the best cook out there. I don't get my hands too dirty in the kitchen, but I have a fond memory when I was young. I would help my mom make and roll the pork lumpia. So, I mean, I don't remember how to do it, but it's just one of the things I remember from my childhood. So it sticks a lot to me.
And then would you deep fry them in your home kitchen? And what kind of sauce would you make for 'em?
We would deep fry them in our kitchen, yeah. And then for the sauce, we would either use sweet and sour or we use banana ketchup.
That's very popular.
Uh-huh.
What would did you make your lumpia? How did you make them?
I did make my lumpia. It's very similar to, Vietnamese egg rolls anyway. It's like
Really?
pork. Yes.
Well, I think of Vietnamese egg rolls being more kind of noodle based with some meat in it, whereas lumpia almost feels like a pork sausage in the middle.
Well, yeah, it's still pork based. There's still some sort of vegetable in there. There's still fish sauce. There's still onion and garlic. But, again, you were right. With us, we add.
What did you say?
Oh my God. This is recorded. I don't have to say it again.
Okay, keep going.
But yes, we do use some sort of noodles, like the saipan noodles, which is a mung bean noodles. But for Filipino, they don't really use that, but they use more vegetables in there as a filler. So like cabbage, carrots, onion, and those kind of things.
Do the Filipinos have any other noodle? What's the glassy noodle dish that is so popular?
Pancit?
Yeah,
Pancit. Yeah,
pancit.
is that really the only big noodle dish in your culture?
We have like something similar called a palabok, which is also glass noodles. But it's more on the fishier side. They use shrimp paste with it.
I see. That's
That
something
sounds good.
Yeah, it does sound good. Shrimp paste is one of those things that never caught on in the States
Yeah,
as much.
no.
And it's
a
such
great-
an unctuous
Great,
ingredient.
unique
Yeah.
flavor. And Annie, you are sending Diane on a mission today to what's the name of the store with the special ingredients where you're going?
It's called Seafood City Supermarket. It's located in South Center. So
It
by
has
the
a lot of
airport.
Filipino ingredients there. Like they make that. It's apparently they have the best laganisa in the city.
Really?
And
Yes.
of course, that's what we're going after.
Yes. So like my niece, who's her boyfriend's family lives in Snoqualmie. So every time they go visit his family, she would have to go there and buy 2 dozens of laganisas to bring to them.
Mm-hmm. And they make it fresh there themselves because almost always you see it kind of in the
Frozen,
freezer case
yeah.
or yeah.
I'm very excited about how you're going to do the colors in the sweet pickled multicolor cauliflower.
Well, I'm gonna get purple cauliflower, orange cauliflower, and white. Mix it all together.
Real colors.
Yes, real colors. Do you think I was gonna die then?
Yes, yes. And the mango, watermelon radish salad.
Yeah, I felt bad that there's no really salad on that dish, so I kind of channel you to put a salad
Yeah.
on there. And you love radishes, and I thought the color of the watermelon radish looked really beautiful on that whole
gorgeous.
dish, you know. And then, you know, of course, with the mango, sweet and sour in there.
So you have the ube inspired dessert. Did you always love sweet potatoes?
Oh, see, that's the thing. It's not a sweet potato.
It's not sweet. I thought ube was sweet potato.
It's a purple yam, but
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's different.
Yeah.
in a
Take him
way.
to school, Diane.
Yeah.
You tell him.
Yeah. So was that something you grew up with also?
Yes. So we'd have them in different desserts. We have them in this particular one. It's called halo halo. It's like a Filipino shaved ice. We would put jam in there, taro, and sometimes ube ice cream.
Have you decided what you're going to do yet with
Yes,
the ube?
ube
Okay.
cheesecake.
Oh.
And
That's
when you
very
get the
tempting.
ube now, because yams are hard to find. I mean, real yams are hard to find.
Well, we're
are
not-
you using a powder?
Well, we're using two types of things. We're buying ube jam, which you can buy in a jar, and then we're also using ube extract for more of the flavor to brings out. Yeah, so we're doing two ways.
I saw an ube gin or an ube rum recently that was
Oh,
just
really?
that gorgeous purple
Yeah,
color. Yeah.
the color is amazing. So sometimes you see people use the extract, but then they use the food coloring to bring it out that purple color, but it's not really, you know, there's no real ube in there.
And let's go back. Whenever I've had sugar cane, we only have a minute, by the way. Whenever I've had sugar cane, it's always had like a shrimp paste or something wrapped around it
Mhm.
and then broiled. But on this menu, it just says sugar cane. So is it something that's it says sugar cane, vinegar, garlic, chili sauce? Oh, that's the
The
sauce.
vinegar.
I see.
Yeah. Because Filipino, they have this vinegar that made from real sugar cane, so it's a
Uh-huh.
little bit sweeter
Right.
than the normal vinegar that you usually get.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing your feast that's coming up. When is that happening?
18th, Saturday the 18th.
The day before the bacon.
Wow, it's
Oh,
going to be a
man.
busy weekend
There's
around
some,
here.
I
at the
know.
Hot
There's
Stove.
some good eating coming up.
Exactly.
Excited.
All right, when we come back, it's time to finish our show and wrap it up with food for thought, tasty trivia, for which I fully plan on crushing my contestants. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM. Wonder what's going on downstairs.
Do you feel like you want to look?
No.
Okay.
I feel like Eric can probably handle it, but that's a
Okay.
very unusual thing.
I know. Well, I think today.
Anyway, are you playing today? Today
Great. Oh, well, that's what I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out. Jim,
Jim?
are you playing today?
Jim, you want to come up to the mic and be a...
We love it.
Am I going up?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just the right height for you.
I'm actually half an inch taller than her.
Are you?
Yes, I am, and it
You're
counts.
so proud of that.
I am.
Let me fix this in.
She wears it well.
Did you?
Well, the bacon one is a brunch time. The Father's Day one, but the Filipino is cheap. Yeah. You know, I was thinking about we have to create the eating with the hands somehow, since that is the spirit. of the
Well,
Filipino feast.
we are going to do that, but we're also going to offer people, you know, forks too if they
Oh,
have.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are you gonna lay it down
No, they gonna get it on a plate, and then with the banana leaves there, and then with all the components on the plate.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll be so beautiful. 'Cause I think seeing everything together is
Yeah.
the impact of that meal.
Yeah. No, we unfortunately that's the one thing we can't really course it out because then we're not really presenting what the dish really meant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Ideally, it would be nice to lay out the whole table, but people gonna be weird with other strangers. But this is why this is a family deal. You do it among.
Don't do it with strangers.
Yeah.
Christmas is their hand sanitizer.
Don't lick your fingers.
It's time for Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. We hope to inspire your creativity with our bountiful array of spice rubs, each one named for a specific use, but of course, you can use them on anything that you desire. Don't hold back. Pork rub is terrific on whitefish, for example. Be sure to stock up with your Rub with Love Father's Day gifts wherever you are looking for them. Online, in the grocery store, Bartell's has them, you name it. Thriftway stores like Lake Ballinger, Vashon Bayview, all three locations of Wajimaya, or stop by and visit our friend Desiree at Seattle Fish Guys on 23rd Avenue South. Pamela?
Tom?
How do we play this game?
Well,
And how do we make sure that I win?
I've got 5 questions for each of the 3 contestants, and I'm so proud to have one of our favorite listeners, Jim, in the audience as a contestant today. Yay!
Thank you.
Against Annie and Tom.
You notice Tanaka had to run away because he was scared.
He was scared.
He was shaking.
Shaking in his boots. Let's start with Annie Elmore, please.
All right.
Number 1, please describe the shape of cavatappi pasta.
Ooh, we got her.
Uh,
You got her. Stop whining.
is it looks very similar
You didn't listen to
to
my clip.
macaroni?
Okay. I said stop whining.
Cavatappi is a corkscrew.
Corkscrew.
So
I
a
gave you a
little
clue.
corkscrew
I gave you a
spiral.
I thought you were yelling at me.
No, I was giving you a clue because I'm a nice man.
Number 2, if you are out of cornstarch, what could you substitute?
Tapioca.
Yes. Anything else? Arrowroot. Yeah. You got that one. Oh, zampone, a specialty of Modena, Italy, is a unique pork sausage dish. Is it served in its casing or in a pig's foot?
Ooh, that's a trick question. Foot.
Exactly. Correct.
Yay.
Please describe the shape of the timbale mold.
What do you mean?
The shape of the pan.
Round.
Yeah.
Looks like a bowl.
There you go.
It's like a half round ball.
Yeah, we'll take it.
Yeah,
Like a musical
Nice job.
instrument.
Like a
like
drum.
a big night.
like
That's
a drum.
the big dish, right?
High-sided, drum shape, tapered at the bottom, closed end, and then open. I think we're giving you a yes.
I actually made that before.
I know. You
For
made
the
it
big night dinner.
Yeah, we want to do it again.
Is that the timbale?
Yeah, and we have all those pans, so we've got to make it again
Yeah,
because
I
we
agree.
love eating it too. Please describe the Italian soup ribollita.
Oh God. Where's Bridget when I need her?
I'm standing right here. You can ask me.
Oh, you're gonna give me the answer then?
No, absolutely.
Throw her
not.
a lifeline.
You see how it is? Brothy soup.
Bread, bean, and kale.
Bread, bean. So there is broth in there.
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
bread.
0.5.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Typically minestrone style with chunks of garlic grilled bread and often an addition of white beans, kale, and Parmesan.
Yum.
Yum. We need to eat
Oh
that.
yeah.
Jim, you ready to go up against these two knuckleheads?
I'm trembling.
I can see that. If you are out of ketchup, what can you substitute?
Barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner right there.
I think we'll take it. The substitution guide of the Food Lovers Journal said a mix of tomato sauce, sugar, and vinegar to get as close to ketchup as possible.
Okay, that makes sense.
0.5. Describe the pasta shape of manicotti.
Big tubes of
Yes,
pasta.
exactly correct. What does the Italian word zucchero mean?
Wow. Sweet?
Close. What's the product that would make it sweet?
Sugar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. The British specialty Scotch woodcock is toast spread with anchovy paste and topped with softly scrambled eggs and cream. Is it served as a first course or an entree?
I'd say it's probably an entree.
It can be both. 0.5. In Samuel Johnson's, I was going deep.
Yes, you were.
1755 dictionary of the English language, he said, oats were a grain which in England is generally given to horses, but which in Scotland supports the people. Do horses and humans eat the same form of oats?
Well, the horses don't eat it as porridge, and the humans do cook it. So
we eat it differently.
Yes.
We're
But
giving
is it
you
the same. I took it as is it the same oat?
It's the same
Oh,
oat.
it's the same oat.
There is less processing in the way they feed it to the animals. Ours is usually hulled, cleaned, and toasted. So, you're tied with Annie Elmore right now. Tom Douglas for the win. Describe the pasta-shaped gemelli.
Oh, that's an easy one.
It's like cavatappi, but gentler.
No.
What is it?
It's the two short strands twisted together. So there is some twisting.
Okay.
Half a point.
No, that's okay. I'm a big
Quarter point.
Quarter point. If you are out of yogurt, what could you substitute?
Sour cream.
You could, but what would get you
Well, you
closer
said,
to
what was the
yogurt?
question? What could you substitute?
Yeah.
I could substitute. You just said I could.
Okay. I was looking
Cottage
for
cheese. What do you want?
buttermilk or milk that you've put some lemon in to get that tang.
I see what you're saying. Boy.
The German blood sausage Ziegenwurst is a blood sausage with an exotic addition. Is it burdock root or pickled tongue?
Tongue.
Correct. Where is the cut of meat known as the saddle located?
The rib cage. That's what it is.
It is?
Yeah.
It is the unseparated loin from the rib to the leg from both sides of the animals. Do we give them like
quarter point?
Or, maybe a third.
That's the rib cage.
He got part of it right.
He got part of it right. 0.3. And finally, how is agar used?
As a gel. It's a thickener.
Yes.
But it also doesn't have to be used that way. Like, for example, the seaweed salad you buy at Mutual Fish is kelp, and then they make ribbons out of the agar to supplement the kelp. So,
okay, but you still didn't win. Eddie and Jim, thank you.
nice job, you guys. Nice job. I'll have to wait for next week to crush Miss Elmore. If you want to be part of the show, you can view the taping on YouTube live or reserve a space here in the audience at hotstovesociety.com. You're listening to us on Cairo Radio. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley, Sean McFadden, and our editor is Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre. Also, remember, if you missed any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app. Thanks for listening. Yay! All right, just have to be quiet on the set for a minute. That includes you, Annie. I know you think you're above the fray, but ready, Sean? Hi, I'm Chef Tom Douglas, and this afternoon on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we talk about our big Father's Day bacon tasting right here for brunch on Father's Day. We're going to take a call from Italy on the sweetness of doing nothing. Eric Tanaka, my partner, joins me. Danica Noble has a Ukrainian crisis refugee update and a Filipino feast Kamayan. That was kind. All right, that's just the way it's going to be.
Thank you, YouTube watchers.
Thank you, everybody.